If your goal is to go viral and reach masses amount of people, then if you put up a post a week that doesn't do as well, but it does start to convert, a handful of people every single week, there is really just a misunderstanding of what goes on behind the scenes of some of your top creators. I've worked at the highest level of content that's reaching millions of people every single month. Things are going viral. All of that is really fun and exciting, and it takes a lot of hard work. But what's interesting is I found that I would meet people who would say, oh, I want to do things like that. And so they would start trying to create content for all of these different platforms because they would say, oh, this really successful millions of followers person that I follow is doing that. And what they don't understand is those people have teams. So I have worked behind, with over a dozen people behind one person's brand before. And then you have a lot of people jumping into it for their first year of creating content, and they're trying to do all the same things that over a dozen people were doing.
Tactically, what would you say, here's how to think about actually going about doing that?
Where I fully believe that most people go wrong is,
hey friend, welcome to this week's episode of Distribution First. I'm so excited to have my buddy Chris Jordan on the show. I have been trying to get Chris on the show for probably the last 3 months. So super pumped up, maybe even longer. But scheduling and all those types of things have made it a fun challenge. But we finally got Chris on here, and it's going to be a fun episode. We're going to do something a little bit different. I think one of the biggest problems that I see in content, whether you're a solopreneur, whether you're working in-house as a content marketer, is just the constant overwhelm of so much content that is out there, and then feel like you got to compete with, oh, they're telling me to do this and they're telling me to do that, and I should do content this way, and I see them doing this, but we really don't have an idea of what we should be doing. And that's why I wanted to bring Chris on. We're literally going to flip the script on the show. It's going to be a little bit different. And I'm going to actually have Chris walk me through a series of questions and prompts and all these things that he works with companies for and with creators for, to try and help them better figure out, A, why they're doing what they're doing, kind of get some focus back on, and then be able to really nail down what type of content we should be creating. And hopefully it'll be insightful for you as well as you listen to this and kind of think through, why are you creating the content you're creating and how you can better align that with your business, your products, all that type of stuff. So Chris, welcome to the show, man. I'm super excited.
Super excited to be here. Appreciate you, and I'm excited to flip the script here and really kind of coach you. The briefest context of where this sort of belief for me, and I know that we agree on this, is there's a lot of noise out there in the creator economy when businesses are trying to learn, okay, we want to start making content. What do we do? There's a lot of noise. There's an example for every single platform of here's why you should do this, and here's the 8 strategies you need to do. And a lot of people will either they'll read that, get overwhelmed, do nothing, or most of the time, B, the second option is that they will start trying to do all of those things, and suddenly they're on 15 different hamster wheels, and it's very overwhelming. And then if the results don't come in, it's very frustrating, and it just creates a breakdown in really what the goal is trying to achieve, results with content for all of our businesses. And where I fully believe that most people go wrong is they will compare themselves to other creators. And so my brief background is I've spent really the last decade working with a lot of top personal brands. I was the lead strategist and producer for a podcast called The School of Greatness with the host Lewis Howes, which is a big personal development show. I've worked with other notable thought leaders, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, Damon John, and I've worked at the highest level of content that's reaching millions of people every single month. Things are going viral. All of that is really fun and exciting. And it takes a lot of hard work. But what's interesting is I found that I would meet people who would say, oh, I want to do things like that. And so they would start trying to create content for all of these different platforms because they would say, oh, this, really successful millions of followers person that I follow is doing that. And what they don't understand is those people have teams. So like I have worked behind, with over a dozen people behind one person's brand before. And then you have a lot of people jumping into it for their first year of creating content, and they're trying to do all the same things that over a dozen people were doing. And so I think that there is really just a misunderstanding of what, you know, what goes on behind the scenes of some of your top creators. And obviously, there are better distribution systems. I wish I had met you when I was working there, because we could have like optimized it a little bit better then. But what I am really, really passionate about is, because I've been able to like work at that type of level behind that type of content, is now, when we first met, we kind of had this conversation, which we're going to kind of drill down, because we'll drill down on it again today for you, because I think there's still a lot of opportunity. But uh, at the core of what I'm most excited about is, what are we trying to achieve? So we'll start there. I wanted to give that brief context, but let's start there with you, dude. So like, give me insight into you. We could frame this in the next 3 months, the next 6 months, or the next year. So you tell me what feels more exciting to talk
Hmm.
about. But like, what are the biggest goals within your content and within your business?
Yeah, I would say for me, biggest goals holistically within the company. So launch the Distribution First Academy, which is part course program, part community, part ongoing group coaching, all combined in one. So it's building that out. That is a bit of a commitment offer for folks. So it takes a little bit, it's more money, B, it's more time. It's hey, I'm ready to finally implement these systems within my company. So I think building that business wise, and then any little offshoots off of that, um, within being able to actually share the distribution first framework that's actually in the course, and you know showing folks how they can do that. Part of that is with this show. And so from the content side, I think what I'm looking to do is use this show, and I've been doing this, but I think sometimes it's after you've been doing something for so long, like I've done over 100 episodes of this show, it's just like, all right, like, what are we doing next with the show? How do we use it? One of the things I'm doing with the show this year is expanding onto YouTube for the first time, which is a wild, fun, crazy experiment all in and of itself, and like a huge learning. I think it's funny you're talking about earlier about the background of like you see all the. I've talked about this before with people, but they see all of the external. We see everything everybody's doing, right? I see Lewis Howes, I'm like, dang, like he's doing this, and he's doing that. Like, okay, like that's the framework. Like I can see we're great pattern recognizers, so I can see the pattern. But that doesn't always mean Lewis is in the background. Actually, I guarantee Lewis is in the background, like tweaking the YouTube tags and figuring out, right? Like, no, he hires somebody who's an expert to be able to do that. We don't always have that expertise. So I think from my standpoint, business side, like grow and expand the Distribution First Academy, get more members, help more people out, really help people be able to implement the systems that I've been able to learn. And then on the content side, it's essentially grow the podcast, grow the YouTube channel, and use that content to fuel other things.
Love it. So, what's good is that you have a deeper understanding of this all. But let's dive deeper. So, I know the membership was a huge launch for you. I am jealous of everybody that's in it. It's amazing. Everybody listening should apply to sign up. However, for you, I hear grow the membership, but my question would be, how many more people do you want in there by, let's say the end of the year? So like I'm bad at math, but I think there's like 8.5 months left of the year. So like, how many more members, or is there, yeah, like how many total number of members would excite you to have within that membership?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if we're looking at the year, I think we're about 50 right now in total. I would say, man, if we could double that this year, that would be amazing. Like if there were 100 people in the Distribution First Academy this year, that would be incredible. Um, yeah, that's just
Love it.
top line.
Consider it done, right? It's just a matter of time, especially after everyone that's listening goes and signs up. But so the next question would be like, what do you what do you think currently it will take to get that and achieve that goal with what you're currently doing with your content? What do you
I
like?
think
What do you feel like? Oh, I have to be doing this.
with content
Yeah.
in particular, I think talking about it more. I don't talk about the membership hardly at all, and it's really, I mean, I did a little bit for folks on email, but I haven't done a ton of it publicly, like on LinkedIn, or even done a ton of that with the actual show. I mean, there's different things that I talk about, so there's awareness, but I think for one, it's one of those realities that I'm fully aware of, that even if I feel like I'm talking about it a lot, I'm not.
Yeah.
So I think number one in content, like, talk about it. What's in it? Who's in it? All of those shit. Like, I'm completely falling flat on that. And then I think the other thing would be, well, I'll just leave it at that because I think that's a huge part.
Yeah, I mean, I would question you. Where do you think that comes from? Because you're not alone in that. I guarantee 99% of people listening have offers that are really great that they don't talk about enough. I'm guilty of this too, and I've like, it's easier for me to say this to you, and then my goal now is like, well, if I'm going to tell you this, I got to you got to practice what I'm preaching. But it's interesting because like this is one of the biggest things where people will definitely immediately jump into like a hamster wheel when it comes to content. They're like, oh, I just need to create more and more and more, so I'll create more awareness. However, if you're not talking about said offer that you're trying to scale in the content you're already putting out, then I don't think it's more content, more short form, more long form. I don't think it's more of that. I think the easiest starting point is like with what you're already committing to creating, you just need to start talking about the offer. So where do you think it comes from where there's a because I think a lot of people relate to this. So I'd be really curious like why are you I don't know if it's afraid to mention the offer too much or you don't want to like bug people like where does it come from?
I think part of it comes from when I started like creating content. It was purely just, I had nothing to sell. So it was like, I'm just creating content, and it was fun to, like, you get those reactions. And to be honest, like, sales content doesn't get reactions
Mhm.
for the most part, right? So like if I'm putting in, I think finding the right channel to talk about, like for me, email has been a good channel to kind of build and talk about things that talk about offers a little bit more consistently. But even then, like I think part of, I'm not afraid to talk about it. What I would say is I'm afraid of the irony. Here's the irony, Chris. I'm afraid of talking about it so much that I don't talk about it at all. Like, oh,
Yep.
I'm just gonna annoy people, or oh, I'm gonna, like, there he is again talking about, I'm putting people's voices in my brain. There he is again talking about his academy. Like, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
But I would say if I were, it's funny, like you're saying, yeah, go do that. Like if I were telling you, Chris, I'd be like, yeah, like don't worry. It's always easier to tell that other person. But for
100%.
for me, I would say I think it's probably just more that sense of I came up in like the pure content realm of like helping people and just trying to provide value, that the idea of making the ask, I think it's like trying to find the right ratio, maybe, or even, or like, what's the mix of like, all right, I have to make the ask. How often am I making the ask?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want every LinkedIn post to be like, oh yeah, and sneaking in, like, join the academy, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's helpful either.
Right. So what's interesting, I think a really, a helpful reframe on this, because again, I know it's really like the issue, like 90% of people that I work with, like the first conversation is like, okay, well, what's the goal? What's your offer? What do you sell? How often are you talking about it? And, I've got like worked with people that are keynote speakers and I'm like, well, how often do you like post about you like doing keynotes? And they're like, never. And I'm like, well, like what are we doing, what are we doing here, right? Like, and but the difference is because I think a lot of us are afraid of being salesy. However,
Mm,
especially someone like you, like this academy offer that you have, like you are delivering on a framework and a transformation to the 50 people that are already in there. And so to me, like when I hear people being like, well, I just want to give value, I want to be of service to people, I don't want to be salesy. I think it like if you create an offer, which I think you have, and I'm sure a lot of people listening also have offers like that help people, then it is not wrong to talk about it and to share about it to get more people in there, because the more people you get in there, the more people you can help more deeply, which then also supports you, supports your family, supports your freedom to then create more and help more. And so there is kind of this like building momentum that like, you're not coming in trying to sell me, I don't know, you're not trying to sell me cigarettes or anything. Like you're trying to like, hey, here is like a framework to help you in your business, with content. And it's really value driven. So it's a disservice for you to not post about it more and to not let people know, because I love that you are doing it in email. At least you're like, yeah, you do have like a channel that you where you do talk about it. But I guarantee it's like there's a lot of people in the audience that maybe aren't on the emails or don't read them all, but they're
Mm-hmm.
listening to the podcast or they are seeing your LinkedIn posts like fairly frequently. And so we're missing those people, right? They're not able to know like what's happening within your thing. Maybe they saw it a couple months ago when you did talk about it, but if you haven't posted about it in like 3 months, like there's so much going on that it'd be really easy to forget about it, even though I like would want to join it. So I
Mm-hmm.
really I want to reframe that and let me know, like, does that land with you, where it's like I think it is a disservice to not tell people about your offer, because your offer transforms people's businesses and transforms like their lives. So there's literally only upside to it. does
Yes.
that does that resonate? Does that land?
Yes, that it totally resonates. I think it makes total sense for how I, and again, the irony of it is it makes total sense for how I view other people when they
Mhm.
send things or talk about things or whatever. I'm like, no, not for me, but like, cool. Like, I'm just, whatever. Right. Or like, oh, I actually am like, that did pique my interest. I'm now ready to like dive in a little bit more. I'm glad they re-mentioned that thing. Um, and I think one of the things I've been kind of reframing as well. And so for anybody who's listening, whether you have your own offers or you're working for a company and selling their offers, like
Mhm.
an offer is just an offer.
Mhm.
Like you're just making, hey, do you want this thing? Like, no, cool. Like it's just
Yeah.
an offer, right? So that's been a thing that I've been reframing too. I'm curious, Chris, what tactically in that case of like, all right, cool, I agree, I do need to be talking about it, like tactically what would you say, like here's how to think about actually going about doing that in a way that isn't just like, hey, big announcement, the academy's back open again for this, or whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't even want to write that post, so I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, what we've done is we've identified like your goal is you want to grow the membership, right? And so like currently what you are doing is you're creating very consistent content. You've got the podcast, you've got your newsletter, like you are firing on a handful of cylinders. Like, yeah, you started your YouTube, right? We talked about that like a year ago and now you're doing it, right? Which is awesome because that creates another opportunity. What I would say tactically is now the next step, what I would, advise you to do is there should be a call to action in every single podcast. It doesn't, and what's interesting though is like, I mean, my hope is like kind of casually, we're gonna, sell some people on the interest here because we're just casually talking about it. But the biggest thing is like when you have a podcast audience, you don't need to like hard sell people. Like if I'm listening to a show, like if you got me all the way to put you in my ears and I'm on a walk or driving or or I've got you on pulled up on YouTube and I'm watching, like you don't need to hit me with like an infomercial. I honestly think it's just more so letting me know. And
Mm,
what you could do tactically, right? Because I think you don't want to be salesy. And I am literally the least salesy person. I think on every sales call I've ever had, I tell people, I'm like, listen, sales feels like kind of gross to me. So like there's no agenda here. If it makes sense, then we'll do it. But if not, then I'm grateful to meet you and like this is great. What I encourage people that don't want to be overly salesy in podcasts is like, how can you organically mention it? So a good example to do this would be, you know, say during this interview right now, if there's a moment where I say something that you remember something about in the community, there's a training related to this, or there's a member that did something similar and they had this experience, like tell me about that, because it organically brings it up in a
Mm.
way that's it's driving value. You would be making a educational point and just pulling from that it happened within your, your offer. Another way is, like, one tactical thing that I love is when people have, yeah, clients they work with, or they have a membership or something, is I would really encourage you, at least an episode, maybe a month or every other month, is an interview with a member in the,
Mm.
within the membership, talking about their experience. One thing that you said that is like where I really want to, drill down, is you were like, sales content doesn't really do as well, and so it makes you like not want to post about it because, like, impressions will be a little bit lower. But again, where I think there's a lot of noise of like, do this to go viral, do this to like reach the masses of people, and all of that content is great. Again, I've worked behind content that literally has millions of views, and that's fun and that's fine. But for us, we're, small business owners, we're trying to provide a service. Like, if you had to put out a post on LinkedIn every single week, and maybe your regular posts get 20 likes or they get 100, but then the salesy, the post that mentions the offer and links to it, maybe it gets half of that. But the people that are liking that and engaging with it, yes, it's less than your typical one, but the hope is that those are more of the right people that are the ones that are going to
Mm.
click the link and go and sign up. And so, again, what is our goal? If your goal is to go viral and reach masses amount of people, then yeah, sales content doesn't really support that as much. It definitely typically will get less engagement. But if our goal is to fill up this membership with more people and help, hundreds of them, then if you put up a post a week that doesn't do as well, but it does start to convert, a handful of people every single week, well, that is moving us towards our goal. You don't want to do a sales post every single post because, yeah, eventually, people could get worn down. But if it's in between, the typical Gary Vaynerchuk jab, 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 right hook, like if you have 6 posts a week that are value driven, and then one post that is still value driven, it just lets us know about like where to go to sign up for your offer or to work with you, like whatever anyone's, business is. Like, that's not a bad thing. It's actually a
Mm.
good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've started to find as I've tried to like build my own business is, like, people just need to be aware of your offer because they may not be ready today, but if they see that post for the next 3 months, by that, like 3 months from now, they would be ready. But if you haven't been talking about it for 3 months, they're not even gonna know about it.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's a
Mm.
couple,
Mm-hmm.
like, I guess to really summarize it, tactical for you, dude, is at least one post every single week of a case study within the community, something of like one of the lessons you've taught in there that I can access if I go in there. I definitely think leaning on, like, for those of us that either you have a membership or you have clients, like, lean on the stories of those people. It's one thing also, this is helpful if you like don't love to do salesy content. It's one thing for you to talk about your offer. It is another thing for one of the people you've helped to talk about your offer for you. So that's
Mm.
where testimonial content or a case study of someone, like, they started here, they went through your framework, and then they achieved this. That is super valuable. It doesn't feel salesy. You're just telling the truth. And if I want that same transformation as Sarah, then okay, I know where to go and I know where to sign up. And that's awesome. So, one tactical, like one LinkedIn post a week minimum would be my encouragement. And I would say maybe once a month or once every other month, start to bring some people onto the podcast to tell those stories, their case study stories. Um, and then honestly, I would add a CTA to every podcast episode about the membership, in a non-salesy way. Like, just again, I know you're like
Mm.
one of the nicest dudes. You don't got to push me on something. Like, it's just like, hey, before before we get further into this episode, I want to let you guys know, like, we open up, the academy again this week. It offers X, Y, and Z. This is what someone said. It's been really awesome. I'm really trying to get, a handful more people in there to help transform their business. Like, we don't got to think of sales as like the
Mm-hmm.
typical podcast ads, which is like, hey, you want a mattress? Let me tell you about this mattress. Like, we're not doing that, right? Like, that's not the game that you're playing. That's not your goal, right? And so, does that make sense? And is that tactical? Does that
Yes.
land?
Yes, very tactical. I think in terms of, I think just in general, as I think about it, regardless of, and I've done a little bit of that, which is encouraging. Like, yep, I've brought different people on. Who have been members. I brought on different members to actually showcase their own sort of talents and expertise as well onto the show. But I think, like, just regardless of format, whether it's the podcast, LinkedIn, emails, whatever that is, like, I think being more intentional with the stories
Mm-hmm.
that can be pulled from the academy itself, and from even like I've thought about like behind the scenes type things as well, like just show, like, hey, this week brought Shannon on, we walked through all her entire point of view for her company and her personal brand for an hour. Like, that you can have this type of one-on-one help if you like,
Yeah,
and I
that's
think right now it's just a
perfect.
total gap of, like, I literally just did that last week. Have the video, it's up there for anybody else in the academy who wants to watch, but to the outside world, it's crickets. And I think
Mhm.
that's maybe the thing that I'm coming across with this, honestly, Chris, more than anything, is like, there are stories to be told from within that I'm honestly just gatekeeping for no good reason.
Yeah. And that's like, really, you identified the keyword. It's what stories can you tell that then can create a emotional connection with other people who are your ideal clients, that then can move them a little bit closer to either book the call, visit your landing page, send you a message on LinkedIn. Like, the stories are what are going to move people. If you put up a post that says, "Hey, I've got this offer, sign up here." I'm already scrolling. I didn't even stop to read that. I'm going to be honest. However, if like, yeah, I mean, let's literally walk through what a story could be real quick, because I think that could be really helpful for not only you but other people to think about that. So,
Yeah, totally.
like what's a transformation yeah, that happened recently that you're like, "Oh, I could definitely tell that was such like an awesome case study and like experience."
Yeah, I mean, the one that happened that's top of mind is, like, I literally had a call with a member last week, and she was trying to figure out both her strong, like, coming up with a better, like, point of view for her company and her brand. And within the academy, we have an entire template that just walks you through a series of questions. And, like, hey, so sat down with her, very similar to what you're doing with me here, walked through every single one of those questions with her, help her pull out a lot of the stories, because those points of view are based around stories as well. And by the end of it, she had a handful of points of view, both for the company, the organization she worked for, and also herself, that she could then go take out and test. And really, as we were talking through it, like, could be legitimate just campaigns that they ran throughout the year.
Right. So that's like a perfect example, right? So like that story, right? Again, you don't have to be like, "Hey, I've got this offer. Here's what I'm gonna, here it is," right? It's like, no, tell me the story of like, most people fail to grow their business because they lack like a strong point of view. Like, they lack anything that makes them stand out and feel like as memorable as they should be. Right? That's the pain point. That's the problem. A lot of business owners would see that, and I, feel the same way. And then if you let me know, like, that's the problem that this person had, I walk them through, you know bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. By the end of the call, like, they experience clarity around X, Y, and Z. And yeah, I mean, definitely, if you could even gatekeep even less, and you can share that session or share like a 5-minute point from it,
Mm-hmm.
dude, that's not salesy at all. Like, that's just awesome. And I definitely think there's a lot of power in the behind the scenes. Like, I think in the online marketing world, yeah, there is a lot of that, like, gatekeeping kind of, I have to pay to get access. And I think we're going to move away from that. That's going to be my hot take is I literally love when I see someone share something that I'm not supposed to see. Like something that's supposed to be
Mm.
behind the paywall, or it is, yeah, like a coaching call with the client. Um, because then I get to really see what this person is like that I want to work with. Like there's a lot of people, I bet, Justin, that want to work with you. And like they like you, they like what you're seeing from you. They know that you've got a lot of good stuff. But I guarantee, like, if you put up stuff that was kind of revealing behind the curtain, and again, like stuff that's, obviously you want exclusivity to exist for the people that are in a
Hmm.
membership and are paying for it. But I guarantee if you put up like small snippets from it or whatever, no one that's paid for that, like obviously because there's so much more that's within the membership, like no one's going to have an issue with that. And I think
Hmm.
that's like where a lot of people are like, well, people paid for this, so is it okay to share that like publicly? And it's like, I would not, I'm in multiple memberships and I'm never mad if someone shares that. But
Sure.
it's gotten me into memberships when people do that behind the scenes type content, or they show me stuff that, yeah, it's not even like say, like they're just showing, hey, this is literally what I do, like this is what it feels like to be on a call with me. Like I love that type of content
Hmm.
because it just feels like real. It breaks down a barrier, I think. Yeah, on the online marketing world, like there's just a lot of like people trying to be a certain way, present themselves a certain way. And then when you get on a call, sometimes people are like a little bit different than they are in their content. And I more so like when I watch someone's content and I get on a call with them and they are the exact same. And I'm like, the trust is built so much like
Hmm.
stronger that way. So yeah, you should put that post up literally within the next week. If you do not, I will find you.
You're gonna hunt me down. All right. Well, it'll be up before this episode goes out. So
Let's
if you're
go.
listening or watching, go back and it will be on LinkedIn for sure.
I love that. So that's awesome. That's a really really great start. And yeah, you see how that does, and then you start to look out for the next example of that within the clients you're working with, and you try to find one that you can tell their story again at least once a week, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
not even salesy content. It's a story value driven post that is just related to what it is that you do. And the goal for you, right? Because when we started this conversation, the goal is to get more members in there. Like, you don't have a product problem, an offer problem. You just have an awareness problem. And so
Hmm.
that is like the number one thing for you to solve for. Uh, and so I really am excited to see you kind of put that into practice. My question would be, what still feels like an obstacle? What still feels like we could walk away from this conversation and be like, everything that we talked about sounds great, and then for some reason something doesn't happen? Like, how, let's
Mm.
prevent that, right? Like that's the biggest struggle that people have with like coaching calls for sure.
For me, I am a discernment. I don't know if anybody's if you're familiar with like Working Genius at all, but like I'm a discernment centered thinker and worker. And so for me, like I like to have multiple options and then be able to see what element I want to take from this or that. I'm curious for you, like you mentioned, whether it's somebody you are working with that you love what they're doing, or that you've come into contact with, or you just admire. Like, is there anybody who's doing this well that I could look at and be like, oh, that's what good looks like?
Yes, two good examples of this. They are both on YouTube. One is a guy named James Smith who runs he's like was traditionally a physical, like a personal trainer, and then like he scaled that as a business. And then he has like a membership course that, like, if you're a personal trainer, there's like a side of it to that. But then now he's more so like he grew his business because of social media, so he teaches about social media growth.
Oh,
And this dude
interesting.
had like a channel with like, I think, a million subscribers, or definitely hundreds of thousands, and he practically ditched it and he created a new channel that is just really only talking about stuff that's like within his membership, it gets less views and like technically less engagement than like, yeah, the personal training, like fitness stuff that's like has more virality. But he's openly talking about like his business has transformed so much. He'll straight up show his Stripe dashboard and just like say like, if you're a business owner, like social media, like yes, you can go viral, like the same stuff I'm talking about. You can go viral, or if you've got something to offer people and transform their lives, if you get 5,000 views on a video versus 500,000, but the 5,000 view video is like 5,000 of those people are watching it because they want to learn how to use social media to grow their business. And then you have this offer that's, a couple $100 versus, yeah, the 500,000 viewed video that maybe has a sponsor or it's just like YouTube ads. Like you can create so much more success in your business with the 5,000 views. So James Smith Business is a really great one, and I can send you the links to these channels so you can put them in
Yeah,
the
for
show
sure.
notes, because it's just straight up like dude does like one takes, just pretty like, yeah, not trying to be anything other than himself and just be honest. And the other one is a guy named I think his name is Ed Lawrence. He had this channel called Film Booth, and then he
Oh,
had one called.
I actually just came across Ed Lawrence like
Okay,
last week.
great.
The
So yeah,
YouTube
so like
algorithm was
he's
getting me.
yeah, so like he's again a big like YouTube expert person that had a channel that was really really successful, hundreds of thousands, and he ditched that one and created a second channel that was a little more, not a little more, just very specific to like instead of like growing on YouTube, it was like using YouTube to grow your business. And that channel is still like, I mean, he's been doing it now for a while and he's smart with YouTube. So like he does have now I think
Mhm.
60, 70K subs, but like he's openly talked about like my videos get less views than they used to, but it's straight up targeted at the person. And again, it's very raw. Like it's just like, you know, this is what I do. Here's how we do it. Another really good example, again, related to your sort of case study post that you want to do, he does one. I've done this a little bit in my content too, where like we'll do it live. Like you'll take someone's content and you'll just either, like I did a video. This is I saw him do it, so I tried it. Where like I went on someone's LinkedIn, I recorded a 5-minute Loom video, just being like, "Hey, you're doing good stuff. Here's how to make it great." And I just shared that as like a post. And I was like, oh, this might do well, might not. Didn't get as like high of engagement, but for me, I got DMs from that because people were straight up like, instead of me doing a, here's the 3 ways to grow on LinkedIn, it was me literally being like, hey, person, real person, here's how I would actively transform your page and make better content. And just like, again, not gatekeep the process of it, but just be
Mhm.
honest about it, reveal the curtain. So then if someone watched that video, same way with you, right? If the people watch this upcoming case study stuff that you're going to do, they're going to know what it's like to like truly work with you. Like you're not different than your content in general, but like it would just, which is good, but it will just reveal behind the curtain a little bit more, which creates immense trust over like, again, all the other like teachers in our space, which like
Mhm.
I love everybody, but sometimes it's stuff where it's like, I don't know, it's like a hyperbole like effect of
Yeah.
how to go viral, you got to do this and this. And then they have like an engagement pod, and like that's how they have success on their account, right? Like
Mhm.
so it's like
Mhm.
I don't vibe with that. And so those are two examples, and the ways like I've tried to mimic it now, bringing it into my work, where it's just like, how can I just reveal truthfully, like, I don't know, it's almost like less or less polished content, but it's more
Mhm.
real. And I think that
Mm.
that is what we need more of, because the internet is no longer new, and I feel like everyone's a little bit jaded by like the like overly polished, overly everyone like I'm perfect, my business is perfect, here's what I do. Like I don't think we need that. And so but with your discernment comment, right? Sometimes when I hear that, I also hear like a little bit of perfectionist, like a little bit like, well, is it good enough? And I'm like,
Huh?
send
L
it, like
Little
just
bit of
send it out, dude.
overthinking, little bit of, oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure, man.
Like if you
For
can
sure.
close the gap between the ideas that we're talking about today, and then if anyone's listening, like if this brought up some ideas of like, oh yeah, like I could definitely do this and this and this with my content, close the gap between having the idea today and taking the action on it, because you are currently operating off your past content strategy, right? And what we've talked about today is kind of breaking apart a little bit of what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, not majorly because you're already, you were good at what you do, but just breaking apart this, like, you haven't done a lot of sales content. So it's going to be really easy for you to dip back into like not doing a lot of sales content because you aren't used to it, right? So like that's why I would encourage you, like if you could do that post you just walked me through, that you could make, like if that could be your post tomorrow, I would encourage you to do that. So you can start to build this new identity as
Mm.
the business owner that you are, and this new sort of content strategy. Because it's really easy for us to like hear this stuff and then we fall back into like what we've been doing,
Mm-hmm.
because it's what we know. So that would definitely be the other like most tactical thing, is please like close the gap between what you hear, the exciting idea that comes up for you, and then like putting out to the world. Like your discernment already will be good. Like
Yeah.
you have good taste. Everyone listening, like we all have our own like taste when it comes to like the content we want to make and all of that. Trust yourself. If you get into overthinking, I'm gonna come knocking.
I'm sending Chris a DM. That's what. No.
I'm gonna come knocking.
I love it. Because I think one of the things too that I have honestly, like, burnout is probably not quite the good term, but like I've been creating content on LinkedIn about content for 5 years. And so like, and I've seen all the waves of where the algorithm's gone and where people are at. And now LinkedIn in particular, but I mean, YouTube is the same way. Like there's just so much that, and honestly for me, I think some of it is like, I either go in fits of like massive inspiration of like, this is going to be awesome, I'm excited to do this. And then if it doesn't like take off, or like what I like, I don't know what I was expecting, like, oh okay, like this super niche topic on distribution is gonna like get 500,000 views, like no, that's not even gonna happen. It's probably not even gonna get 500 views. But I think what I'm hearing and what I'm interested to kind of tap back in for me is like the idea of doing a Loom video walking somebody through, A, is more interesting content to create potentially, and B, it's also different content to create. And again, sometimes different is good, sometimes different's bad. Like that's different in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like I see what you tried there, it didn't work. But I think there's potential for me to be able to tap into finding those things, not that I have to check box off. Like a great example, Chris, is like when I did the YouTube thing, I was doing a bunch of shorts at the beginning, and like I wasn't nailing shorts, but it also became like a lot of work to try to figure out how do I nail shorts from a like a podcast standpoint. Like it really conflicts with how shorts wants to run. They don't love podcast clips, oddly enough. They like it, they like hooks, they like all those things which podcast clips don't naturally deliver on. Anyway, and where can I put my focus? Yeah, I think that is kind of what I'm taking out of the conversation too, which is always a conversation that I think we should be having internally. Like if I'm putting back on the like distribution first hat here, like we should always be reassessing what we're doing and why, because I can speak for myself. Like I can create a distribution first hamster wheel just as good as I could create a not distribution first hamster wheel, right? And so it's like
Mm-hmm.
constantly just trying to figure out like, all right, is this becoming a checkbox within my own system, or am I actually trying to create something of value and be able to like, am I so dedicated to I must post 5 times a week and send a weekly email that the emails are now not as great and the posts aren't as great either. And so that's been the sort of evolution for me as I've been looking just at content in general too, is like what would be a really fun newsletter to write. What would be podcasting has been great. Like this year I've been like talking to the people I want to talk to, having those conversations. Like that has been super fun, super reinvigorated on the podcast compared to points last year. But the rest of the content, I'm trying to work my way into that.
Yeah. Well, and what I would say to that is definitely like you said it, is understanding the why behind what you're doing. Because a lot of people, like, you get into this space, and again, there is an example of like, here's why you should have a podcast. Here's why you should be on YouTube. Here's why you should, I don't know, grow on Pinterest. Like, there's an example for everything. However, it's like, hold up, like, do you like Pinterest? Do you
Mm-hmm.
like YouTube? Do you only want to focus on written content? Like, what is it that you want to do? And if the why for that is because you love it and you also like you want it to help your business, but like you don't need to be on all of those all at once, especially in the beginning. But honestly, like, even as time goes on, like, until you crush it on one of them, I'd be like, just, yeah, people get caught up in, well, I saw this person, they had this strategy, like, I should do that. And I'm like, but why? And they're like, well, they said to. I'm like, but do you want to? And they're like, well, but they said to. And I'm like, but do you want to? Right? That is like the core thing. So when you were thinking about starting YouTube, like, you brought the energy and the excitement to learn this new thing and do this new thing and bring that intention to it. You were being very intentional about it versus, oh, I'm going to put this on YouTube because this person said to, and I guess I should. I don't even know anything about YouTube. Like that immediately, those conversations when I have with people, I tell them, I don't think you need to be on YouTube right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that feels like, if you're not ready to bring intentionality to it, then you're probably not going to do that good on it. And then it's going to be wasted resources that you could put into, if you love, you know, growing your LinkedIn for the next 6 months, then just double down on that. Right. So that really is like understanding the why will help you actually move the needle. Uh, because yeah, like you said, with your podcast, you're trying to put a lot of long form on YouTube, and it's like, because probably because people said like short to the next wave on YouTube, like you got to be there and they'll pump out so many views for you, but like it's a lot of work. And if you were
Mm-hmm.
only doing it because like you were told to, you feel like you should, versus if what you really love is these long form conversations, focus on those long form, like how do you make those titles and those edits and those thumbnails better than making them okay, but then you got to go put on all this effort onto the shorts and get those up,
Mm-hmm.
right? It just dilutes the energy you can put into it.
That is a great way to talk about that is diluted energy in terms of and focus of like I forget who told me this, but they and I know they stole it from somebody else, but it's sort of like before you go trying to do another thing, like make the thing you're doing better,
Yeah,
like and potentially like the best that you can,
yeah,
before you then like try and do a million other things. I think we do get like to come full circle. We do get we get overrun with what we should be doing and versus what we could be doing. I think switching those two words right there would probably free up. It's something I've been doing in my personal life of like I should do this, and it's like you could do that. Like
yeah,
you don't should is a very strong word.
yeah.
And
It should
so
be
like
eliminated.
yeah, yes, yeah, and so it's like yeah, I had a friend tell me that should is just could with shame attached to it, right?
Nice. I love that.
Like that, and so that idea to me of like yeah, you absolutely could do YouTube, you could do shorts, you could do LinkedIn, you could do a newsletter, you could do TikTok, you could do any of them. And I think to that point, like, what do you want to do? What do I want to do? That's been a lot of the rehashing for me, and I think too, Chris, like I'm sure you felt this at different points, and I'm sure everybody feels this is like there are seasons too, like
Hmm.
like there are 4 seasons every year for a reason, and there are seasons that are probably going to come up in your business and your content too. Of like for this season, maybe we don't do all the things we were previously doing. Maybe we have to double down here, and then we reassess as we move forward. Or for a season, I did have a lot of time and we were doing this, but now there's this big initiative at the company and I don't have, now I'm strapped. That's okay. Like, don't feel like you
Yeah,
got to
and
put all that weight on yourself.
I think I have a really good story that this is where this belief really came from, was seeing it at a high level. Because yeah, I mean, I'm the same way, falling very, victim to feeling like I need to do everything, and it can just really lead to feeling overwhelmed and exhausted, and honest, and you're not typically getting the results that you want, in general. I worked with a guy named Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who is he's a keynote speaker. He's an author. Books have sold millions of copies. And when I worked with him, it was to help him with YouTube and to get on podcasts to promote his book, right? And so the goal for that season was promoting the book hardcore. And what we had done though is we had kind of built a system that was, yes, promoting his book. So we were creating, multiple videos a week for his YouTube channel. He was getting on as many podcasts as possible, spread awareness of this book. After the book had been out for a couple of months, he realized, okay, the next season that I'm going to be in is I want to write my next book. He's got a family. He's got 7 kids, so very busy at home. And, he also does keynote speaking, and he does like coaching, like for his main part of like his business. And so we had a decision to make. And the decision was, do we shut down the YouTube channel that we've been putting all this effort into, that has 100,000 subscribers? Because it's really nice to have it, but it is diluting his energy from what the real goal was to write the next book and to have more time with his family and build out like the business. And so he just stopped with the channel with over 100,000 subscribers, just stopped because it no longer served what the actual goal was. And for me, that was coming from this place of like putting out content anywhere, everywhere, all cylinders, like gotta go viral. That was like, again, the headspace I was in when I began working with him. Because that was like a lot of the content I was doing before that, which is good in its own regard if that's like the business model, but that wasn't Benjamin Hardy's business model. And so it was really powerful to see you can stop if it doesn't serve your business in that season, just because you've even built something that has, hundreds of thousands of views, 100,000 subscribers. If that content strategy no longer serves your business goal, what you want your life to look like, just because everyone's telling you to do X, Y, and Z doesn't mean you have to. And that was a really like I mean, in the beginning it hurt me. I was like, no, we've done so much, but it's now really been a lesson that has really drilled down one of my core beliefs within content is it would be really easy for most people. It's probably a lot of creators who have a lot of views and subscribers and audiences, and they're making stuff that actually just doesn't serve what they really want to be doing or the life that they really want to be creating. And so I tell that story to give permission and just showcase like a real life example of walking away from what a lot of people dream of having. I thought that was a really interesting thing to see. I was in it. I was in the work, but also just from the outside. And it's now been more than a year since he made that decision, and the world didn't crumble. He focused on what he wanted to focus on and got clear on the goal. And now when he's coming back to promote the next book, maybe he'll bring the content strategy of YouTube back up and such. But that wasn't like, he didn't continue it for a year just because I needed to, right? And so I thought that was like such an interesting thing for me to experience firsthand, and then to be able to tell other people, kind of give that permission if it's relevant. You don't got to be everywhere all at once, and it's okay.
Yeah, I tell everybody that in the beginning, and I think that idea of shutting down something that was on the outside super successful but didn't fit his why, didn't fit his vision for how he saw his life, didn't fit his vision for where he saw his business going. I think those are really hard. Like, I probably wouldn't have made that same decision.
I wouldn't either.
So,
no, I would not
so
either.
I think like him, And maybe earlier in his career, he did something and it, spurred him to make that choice then, right? Like I'm sure
Yep.
there were other things. Actually, I know by listening, I've read a bunch of his books. I love that stuff. Um, but yeah, I would imagine that's not an easy choice, and I'm sure that wasn't one he took lightly. But
Hmm.
ultimately, it probably did free him up to be able to do all the things he wanted to do. Which again, write the book. Can't write the book if I'm focused on this other stuff.
Yep, exactly. So just a really interesting, real like yeah, real life case study. I was in the middle of it. I've seen it firsthand, and also seen that the world didn't crumble. That's really the lesson I want to
Mm.
share. There is, a lot of us are scared to stop creating certain things, even though if you might feel on a hamster wheel, you might feel like, oh, do I even like doing TikToks, whatever it might be, right? Because you saw someone that said you should do TikToks, and now here you are doing them, and you don't like it. Even if you had hundreds of thousands of people supporting it, if you don't like it, there is an argument to step away and get clear on what is your goal and how can content drive the goal, not get caught on the content hamster wheel.
Yes, and like I said, like it sounds funny, but as soon as like I guarantee you, if you listen to the end of the show and you got to this point, uh, replacing the word could or should with could will change how you make decisions and change things about how you potentially feel about those things as well, right? Like
Yeah.
he could do YouTube is different than he should do YouTube, which
Mm-hmm.
altered the eventual choice that he made.
Dude, I'm gonna get that could and should. I'm gonna get that tattooed on my forehead just so I see it every time I'm looking in the camera and see
Yeah, man,
myself.
I gotta get it posted up on the wall over here. So,
Yeah, yeah, maybe
well,
that's easier. That's probably a safer
you
option,
know,
but
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll
At
go
least
big.
step one. At least
Yeah,
step
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Well, Chris, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for coaching me through these things. I have a ton of stuff. I've taken notes over here. I know you're just a DM away too, so definitely looking forward to chat more as we move on. And obviously, if there's anything I can do to help you in the future as well, you feel free to reach out, bud.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully, it was valuable for everybody listening. And yeah, man, I'm just happy to be here.
Awesome. Good to chat with you, Chris.